All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the zone. We are shaking and moving and dancing in here. And today we're going to talk about the afterlife. So that's going to be fun. I feel like I get a lot of very anxious questions about people being like, "Oh, where do we go when we die?" And I have a lot of my own thoughts about it. The Bible has a lot of interesting things to say about it, but that are more predictable. We're gonna get everyone's opinions here. Hello, Blood Rose, what's going on? My tongue just tripped all over itself. I'm also trying to see. My tripod's a little not the most balanced thing on planet Earth. So, it be what it be. Let me make sure. Okay. It's working, Lina. How are you? I'm doing good. How about you guys? Waiting for everyone to kind of join in, see what's going on. And the only thing that sucks about me having just this phone is God forbid I need to text somebody, do something, gotta pause the whole live to do that. Oh well. All right, so Lina's on her way in. But yeah, so it's been a long day. It's been good weather. I'm going to finally get my plants for my little vertical garden this week. I'm very excited. Hello, Caitlin, what's going on? Thanks for popping in. Thanks for joining. Do I have my garden plan anywhere near me? I don't think I do. So I can't show you guys the little tiny map I made. Thank you, Buck. I appreciate that. Alright, so here's Mimi. Oh my goodness. And there we go. There's Lina. Just waiting on Hannah. Hello, Andy. What's going on? How are ya? Is it the shirt? Might be the shirt. What's going on, Mimi? Hello. Oh, Wendy, it's your first
Hola.
time. All right. Welcome to the zone. Um, do we know if Hannah's gonna be popping in soon or?
I'm bored, leave me alone.
Also, I re-uploaded a couple of my reels to my TikToks to Instagram, and I forgot how much more or how much less advanced people on Instagram and Facebook are when it comes to spiritual stuff. So
You
that's been
mean the
fun.
Hun bots can't help you?
The Hunbots are really not Hunbotting correctly. Well, I mean, I guess they are. They're very on brand, but I wish they would stay the fuck away from me.
Oh, I need to close that window.
The,
Oh,
the sunlight, the washout.
come on, this is not hard. Catch. Catch. Thank you. And
That's
a
gonna
good
have to
thing.
work. Maybe if I turn on my lamp over here. I'm still figuring out this room and the lighting and everything.
I mean, I feel like once you get curtains on the window too, that'll be
Okay,
then
that
it'll
kind
just
of
be kind of
balances
handled.
out. I need to turn this up. I'm so not prepared. I got home like 10 minutes ago.
Ugh.
Listen, the
I'm still
fact that
eating
you're
dinner.
here
You're
is all
fine.
that matters. It's 8:06, so you're doing damn good. But all right,
Can you
welcome
guys hear
everybody.
me by any chance? Like, is my
Yeah, we can
audio
hear you.
working? Okay, cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
You're really echoey, like down the hallway echoey.
Mm.
Hold on, hold on. I gotta close this app and come back in. I'll be right back.
I will
Okay.
probably also be very echoey because I don't have my rug in here yet, so it's just straight hardwood and walls.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I also am gonna have this as close to my face as is not uncomfortable, just because like apparently for some reason my audio ends up being like really quiet. Liberal Witch asked what we Christian witches believe. So I guess when Lina
We're
pops
talking
back
about
in,
the
you could kind of.
afterlife too, for the person asking about death.
Yeah, we're all talking about the afterlife today. I think the afterlife is fun. I personally don't really give two shits about the afterlife. I'm not gonna lie. Like, whenever people are like, but how do you know? And I'm like, yeah, about that. I haven't thought about that since like 2005. Anyway, but,
Yeah.
alright, Lena's
Yeah.
back.
Also remember that from our study, from our interpretation and our like asking, that's how we got to what we believe. What we say is not necessarily end all be all, but it's definitely something for you guys to think about.
Yeah. So, we honestly the fun part is no one really knows. Even in like if anyone tells you they know for certain what's gonna happen when you die, they're a fucking liar. Like I'm just saying, they're such an absolute liar. Um,
Do you know what happens when you die?
you
Your heart
die.
stops.
Yeah, like certifiably the brain waves stop. But
That's all we
otherwise,
know for sure. Oh, hey,
And
Mary.
technically, even after your heart stops, your brain still goes for like 10 seconds.
that must be terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. Like that must be when you start like I don't know, smelling
Seeing the
colors
light.
and just yeah, going all kinds of wonky in there. Um, but while we are all in here, I do think it's a fair introduction to kind of go around and say like what flavor of Christian which we all are and like what we personally believe in. So who wants to start? Hannah?
Sure. My name's Hannah. I more so identify as Christo-pagan because, excuse me, I work with the Abrahamic pantheon, but I also work with pagan deities as well. The Abrahamic is like my top, like Jesus and God and them are like, my top dogs. But I also work with Loki and Ares, so I don't get a lot of sleep. And Asmodeus too. He usually is pretty chill, but I feel like the other two kind of get him riled up. Um, but I just I explore a little bit of everything. And I'm hoping to, kind of delve a little deeper into that now that I'm in my new house and things will hopefully start calming down soon. So that'll be an interesting journey. Who's next?
Lena, you want to go?
Lena. Lena
Okay, I'll
goes.
go next. So I personally identify as like a Jesus witch because I don't believe in a lot of the fundamental foundations of Christianity.
Quiet.
So I don't feel like I could call
Bro,
myself
you're a
a
little
Lena,
quiet.
you're a
Yeah.
little quiet.
I don't know what's up in my audio today.
Sometimes the headphones just like don't. Like sometimes I'll have them
Is it
connected.
better without the?
You're still
Yeah.
quiet. You were fine before.
Can you can you
Yes.
hear me
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's way better.
Okay. Is it fine now? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
my phone's being like really weird. I still don't know how to work an Android. I've had it for like a month or so, and I still no, 2 months now since March.
Yeah.
I still don't know how to work this thing at all. Anyway,
They're a pain in the ass
it makes
sometimes.
me feel old. Makes me
I think
feel
I'm
so
the only one
old.
left on an iPhone.
But yeah, it's I had to because the memory. But anyway, um,
Hmm.
so what I was saying, I personally believe I identify as like a Jesus witch versus like a Christian witch because I don't believe in like the fundamentals of Christianity or like the foundation of it. I personally like work with the Abrahamic God, the Abrahamic goddess who I call Ashra, like Hannah does. I work primarily with Jesus more as like a spirit guide versus like a deity of sorts. I mean, like I respect him as he if he were a deity, but I see him more as like my spirit guide, as like my friend kind of thing. Um, I also work with Loki and Venus. She's more of like a newer addition to my practice, maybe since like April. But I really like working with her. And yeah, I just, I don't know, I do spell work, I chill, I read my Bible a lot. That's like my biggest thing is in my practice is reading my Bible. I currently in the Bible app have like, however many days of this year we've had, I've opened the Bible app every single day. I stopped on December 31st of 2022 so that I could have a streak all year. Um, like a dork. So like, yeah, my biggest thing is like reading the Bible and like doing things like that and incorporating the Bible into spell work. So that's me. What about you, Mimi or Sarah? Who wants to go?
All right, Mimi's a
Well,
bit chewing, so I
let's do
gotta.
Sarah because Mimi has food in her mouth. I didn't notice that. Sorry, my bad.
Mimi
I haven't
Mimi's like
finished
vibing.
supper yet.
She's
All good.
Did you say supper, not dinner? That's funny.
um, but anyway, yeah. So I guess I mean I'm in a lot of like interesting places with identity right now. For me, the term Christian witch is a very political identity. It's very much like the one First Corinthians 1:27 comes to mind when Paul is saying like God uses the weak to shame the strong and the foolish to shame the wise. I feel like we're in the era of like the witch is shaming the priest. So for me, it's a bit of a political identity, but it's also in my belief system, it's a way to actually get back to what religion is supposed to be, which is supposed to be, communicating with your gods directly, honoring them properly, working with them to get things done. So, like doing all the spell work and meditations and other things like that. I do have some pagan deities in my space from time to time, like the Slavic gods, because I am Slovenian. So I'll have like Kresnik or Veles or Morena around. I also do work with Lucifer because I believe that in order to understand God, you have to also understand like the whole picture, like not just heaven. You have to understand like the infernal divine as well. So it's a lot. At this point, it's kind of like a Twilight practice where it's very much like walking the knife's edge and having like both sides of the coin, so to speak. And I am also more focused on like the academic, scholarly, theological part. So it's a lot of mysticism. And then the witchcraft comes out when I'm actually able to get off my ass and like do a spell. Otherwise, I'm just reading books. But yeah. So that's the long and short of that.
And cooking amazing
So
food.
yeah, she does a lot of that stuff.
Yes,
And
But
kitchen
she
when
writes
you were
witchcraft.
fantasy
saying like,
books.
And I
oh,
oh
and she writes
shit.
fantasy books.
God damn! Now I gotta go get one of those. Hold on, I can still hear you guys. So you feel free to talk.
No, but when Sarah was saying like the sword, whatever, like the both sides of the sword, it reminded me of like or the knife. It reminded me of the verse in the Bible where it literally refers to spirituality and like the like work. Sorry, studying the word as a double-edged sword. So you're kind of being on like the double-edged sword because you're looking at both aspects of it. That's just what like that reminded me of.
Yeah, and
Hi,
it's definitely
Benjamin.
it's something like that. There's especially because I feel like as Christian witches we are like on a bridge between two countries at war, and that like
Mhm.
the witch community and the Christian community both just continue lobbing missiles, and we're just sitting there underneath like this is a nice tent we have on our bridge by
Yeah.
ourselves. But this is the fantasy book. It's link in my bio. It's very nice. It has like pretty chapter headings and a story that's really fun. So if you like fantasy, go look at that. But okay, plug over.
Okay,
Well,
so uh, I'm a granny witch, which means I do Jesus magic. All right, so what that means is that I believe that there's a spirit in everything. There is a motion of spirit that connects us all, and I believe that it is the Holy Spirit that protects us all, especially after Jesus said, I will send someone to you, and it's the helper that's referred to in Genesis, also known as our wonderful mother, Asherah. And so, because of that, a lot of what I do is like folk magic, a folk practice, and it's very much uh, rooted in, like I said, animism. So everything has a spirit as well as ancestor practicing. Like I talk to them a lot, whether I want to or not, because Granny is annoying. And then also,
Mhm.
I do a lot of divine feminine work because a lot of the stuff that I'm called to for like healing in my past, as well as like the things that I've been drawn to in life to do, has been very divine feminine, doula, breastfeeding, mothering, caring for the mom as well as caring for the child, like all of it. So I am very much like the Mary Magdalene and Asherah, and really like digging deep into that. And yeah, I just do what I was. I take some of what I was taught because I was like 8 or 9 when my granny died, and that granny was the one who was supposed to pass it on to us. But I digress. So I'm picking up pieces here and there, and it's literally just Psalm's got a lot to say.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I
It's
also write.
definitely
I'm writing a book with Sarah, and I write a blog about homeschooling as a Christian witch.
Nice.
hell yeah. That's plug two of the stream. We only get 3 before the IRS crashes into my window. But but yeah, second plug is that yeah, Mimi and I are working on a beginner intro book for people who want to be Christian witches, and that's going along pretty well. So we already have like a big chunk. I feel like the book's gonna be a really nice gatekeep in a way because it's like if you can get past all the academia, then you get to learn how to use lemon in moon water. Congrats.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it is fun. There's a lot of stuff, which is also why when people start like quoting the typical verses against witchcraft, I'm always sitting there like, "Yep, I already have 12 sources about what that actually says." Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, right.
And I'm over here like, it was sexism, it was misogyny, it was classism, it was putting people down the whole time. And Sarah's just like, keep that fire, write the chapter. Like,
Yep. It's just like now channel that into words. No, for me, like chapter 2 was made me want to like put my brain on a shelf and leave it there. So like I feel the book will be out March 1st of next year, so 2024. So we're all vibing. I like Damien Eccles. He has some interesting stuff. Like most ceremonial magicians, ends up putting in Kabbalah where really he shouldn't. But he has good information
what
on
does
the
she mean
angels
by
and stuff.
innocent? Or what do they mean by innocent? What did Damien Eccles do?
Oh, Damien Eccles is a guy who was sent to death row for murder that he, I guess, didn't commit. So that's kind of like where he learned to do magic was on death row. And so all of his books now are like, yeah, so when I was like nearly going insane on death row, it was Zadkiel who told me to get my shit together. And I was like, okay. So
Well,
That's
I'm
he
gonna
was
have to
Interesting.
17.
add that to my reading list.
It's
yeah.
it's wild. It's like he was 17 and so were his 2 friends that got accused with him and like the part of the I don't know, whatever like police area precinct that had the papers about the case got burned down and they couldn't recover them. So there's like no actual evidence or anything of what they did or didn't do. And so they were almost killed despite there being like no evidence that they did this thing. And it's just like, "Oh, okay."
Whoa.
I
So
love
it's
our
wild.
legal system. It's fantastic.
It's
There's no
so
holes in
good.
it whatsoever.
It's so
It's
good.
great.
I'm
Thank
glad he got
God.
out, but yeah, he spent quite a few
Glad I'm
years
in
in prison, I
America.
think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh,
Wow.
that's the same reason why I got stoned in high school. Like,
Isn't
literally.
that
Like actually,
I'm pretty sure I've heard this
Like,
happened
actually
during the
stoned. Like,
satanic
they picked
panic.
up rocks and threw them at me.
Oh, I thought you meant like stone. Okay, anyway.
No, like daily it was an occurrence where everybody would like, as I'm
lunacy.
walking from lunch to the main building, the kids up there would like pick up
No,
rocks and throw them at me.
Oh wow. I mean,
Like
kids used
every
to
day
bully
for
me
at least
for
a fucking
dressing
year.
that way in high school, and then I got stoned because of a different kind of stone. Anyway, I digress.
Oh.
Um,
anyway, all
I
right.
also got that kind of stoned, but not till I was older.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
but
so
okay.
anyway,
So there was all right. So that's our introduction. Now we're all settled. We're all moseying. All right, scrolling through comments. My brain has shut down.
So
Yeah,
does
but
mine.
okay, so let's talk about the main point before we get distracted by the 16.2 questions that come in here. We will get to your questions in a moment, but we do want to talk about the afterlife first. So, I guess to start with the afterlife, again, as I said, no one really fucking knows what happens when you die. Christians like to tell you they know that we all either go to heaven or hell. In my opinion, that's a hot load of shit. And from my interactions with other gods of death, that's like it's not even definitive. Like they act like only heaven or hell exists, but I do believe that every single afterlife of every religion does exist, and that it is
hmm
possible to get there if you choose to follow those gods. Like they'll take you there. It's not necessarily an either or situation.
hmm
Yeah.
that's who. If anybody like I have a podcast called the Jesus Witch podcast, and I did an episode on death work with Chelsea and Tens from the Dirt Diaries podcast. That's basically what they believe, and they're like huge death workers. That like essentially like all afterlives exist, and it really just depends on what you believe in as to where you end up.
Mhm. I think the biggest question that we get as Christian witches is do we believe in hell?
Yeah.
And the best analogy that I've ever heard for this, and the actual person that they were talking to could have been completely bullshitting, but it just made the most sense to me in that moment. I cannot for the life of me remember what the show was called or the names of any of the people, but I was watching this talk show where they were interviewing a medium and they asked them this question, like, does hell exist? And he said, kind of, but not in the way that you'd think, because he was a medium. And he talked about this time where he was interviewing this woman, or he was talking to this woman who was his client, and her dad had passed away. So he's the medium trying to get through to the dad. And the dad was, quote unquote, in hell, but
Oh.
it was because like he had never told his daughter that he loved her, or that he was proud of her, or that how much she meant to him when he was alive. And now that he had passed on, he had all of these regrets, and it was like a personal hell. But then they were able to talk through it and quote unquote set him free, which again could be total bullshit depending on who the show and the interview and the people were. But I like the perspective, like the moral of, hey, live this life in the right way and tell people that you love them so that when you leave, you don't have any regrets. And I do kind of believe that there's a place where the really shitty people go, but it's another thing if you're just an average person who has just made mistakes. But the moral of the story was like, tell that person you love them and leave with no regrets kind of thing. That's kind of what I believe in.
It reminds me of like the show Lucifer. Like that was probably my favorite idea of hell was that like goofy little Netflix show where like you are in hell repeating the thing that you really feel the most awful about
Yeah.
because you can't like you yourself put yourself there because you can't get
Yeah.
over what you did. So that like that makes sense to me. I know other religions do have a concept of like definitive like you are fucked up because you did something bad. Like Greek Tartarus is one where like I think I was reading that like the first murderer is just encapsulated in fire and that's the only light source in Tartarus. So like oops, but when it comes to hell, I my only concept of it is the infernal realms, and I can tell you right now from what I've seen in meditation, God's backyard's a lot scarier than the infernal realms. God's backyard's fucking crazy. He's the one that's got the lava pool and the big craggy mountains. Lucifer has a really nice office with some like really solid wood tables that I rest my feet on all the time. So I don't know.
And he side eyes you for it.
Oh yeah. But I'm just
Big
like,
side
dang,
eye.
it's
How dare
comfy in
you?
here.
Yeah.
Good leather
So
couches.
something
Whatchamacallit?
that's funny that corroborates like all of this. Back in my day, being
Oh
the
no.
old fuck that I am here. All right. So the movie What Dreams May Come, it was in like 1993 with Robin Williams, talks about what happens after you die. And being a child who was allowed to watch just about anything, this is one of those movies that like really intrigued me. And it's a reflection of like kind of a play on Dante, but not really. So your own personal hell is that what you put for your biggest regret, your biggest sin, your biggest thing. But what it is the choice that you have made to keep you from that happiness, the choice that you have made to keep you from essentially God, that connection to God. So, for example, the main character, I'm going to spoil it if you guys haven't seen it. It's like super sad, but it's super amazing. You need to go watch it. The husband gets killed in a car wreck and his
Ooh.
other children like 10 years before had also been killed in a car wreck, so they get to go to heaven. They had an accidental death and they get to go to heaven, even though they did bad things in their life. Their death was not something that would have harmed another. People who had committed suicide, murder, things like that were dropped way below, and they were literally living in a cycle of almost insanity, living in a giant puddle of regret. She was like literally just living in her woe, and that was her torture. That was her punishment. So, being the young child that I was when I saw this, was like, I like that idea because also you could in heaven you could basically be whoever you thought was best. You could do whatever you wanted, and your fantasy, your paradise was whatever made you happy. It is at the time, and you could just build on it and be there forever. you had other spirits that you knew in life, and they were all together. You could bring them in and see them and things like that. It was just one big, giant, interconnected, like spiritual area. But you could also be reincarnated if you wanted to go back. And I think that you can be reincarnated if you have more to do. You know, and that's, you can also like see down into earth and check on things, and that's how you can communicate. Like, this movie fucking changed my brain view on a whole lot of things. And I know people are gonna be like, oh my god, but it was a movie. Like, it is the most real shit that I've ever heard, even beyond what people taught me in the evangelical church.
Yeah.
That's very close to actually like what I personally believe. Like, aside from like I guess like the whole, I don't know how that makes sense. I believe that bad people that come here to do bad things, like people who come to do like horrific acts, like unspeakable, like things like, I'm not going to say on here because I don't want us to get banned kind of acts, they don't have human souls. I don't think that they have the same souls that like you and I do. And like, this is very woo. So like some, I understand a lot of people probably don't believe this. But like, I believe, like, not for nothing, if God can create, right, and like, the devil or Satan is equal to God, can't he create in a more negative manner? So like, if we can't have the light exist without the darkness, wouldn't the darkness be creating dark people to try to counteract the light people? You know what I'm saying? So I personally believe that these disgusting, horrific people are not made of the same soul material that like you and I are. And they, therefore, because they are not made of the same soul material, they do not go to the same place as us. So like in the Bible, it refers to places like Sheol, which is like more of like an underworld kind of aspect. That's where I think they go because that's where they came from. So they just go back to where they came. But people like us, like that have human souls or whatever, we go to back to God or back to source, whatever. And I believe a lot in the whole reincarnation aspect. Like, I'm a very big believer in reincarnation. I think we go to to heaven, whatever, I guess that's what we're going to call that. And we have like our own space in heaven. And like Mimi was saying, we can do whatever we want to do. There's a verse in the Bible, I believe it's in Matthew, where Jesus is talking about how soon he has to go back to be with his father. So he has to go back to heaven to be with God. But his father is a house with many rooms, and like he's making a room and preparing it for you. And like like in this room there's your like ideal things, you know what I'm saying? So like, for Hannah and her heaven, there would be like Motionless in White would be there. For me, there'd be Taylor Swift. For Sarah, there'd be a huge kitchen. For Mimi, there'd be a bunch of duelist shit. Like, I don't know, like it would just be whatever your
Endless
ideal, whatever
garden.
you like is in there kind of thing, right? But then we also have the option to go and reincarnate, and I can like get into like the more like one biblical evidences for reincarnation and two like scientific evidences for reincarnation too. But we can go and reincarnate and like go and do different lives if we need to learn more things, if we want to experience different things, if we just basically want to go back, we could go back, sort of thing. I forgot the movie that Mimi had mentioned, but another really good movie that talks about this and like kind of displays this in like all the same ways is Disney's Soul. That movie.
That's not a bad one.
Somebody from Disney read this book, Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton, and said, "Let's make a kids movie based off of this." And that's Soul. I'm convinced because it's literally the same theory that's in here. It's fantastic.
You can't tell me that they didn't read Jungian theory and come up with Inside Out either.
Oh yeah. I was literally talking about Inside Out with my husband like the other day because we went to the Taylor Swift concert and I was telling him how like that was such a core memory for so many people, and like I was creating core memories and the girls in front of us were creating core memories together, and it was really good. And then I'm like, isn't it interesting how this term core memory has become so widely used from this movie Inside Out, but it's not like an actual like therapeutic term. Anyway, that's just a really interesting thing that I've thought about recently.
Yeah. No, that is really interesting. I think another thing that I read there, so one of the number one like beginner witchcraft books across the board that people recommend is Psychic Witch by Matt Oren, which I have read. And he has a really interesting theory about the afterlife that takes from various theories of various other spiritual beliefs that believe in something similar, but tries to answer the question of how can the afterlife exist and reincarnation and ghosts and ancestors all exist at the same time. And he basically theorizes that your soul is made up of 3 pieces, and one piece goes to the afterlife, and one piece reincarnates, and one piece can be like a ghost that will eventually turn into an ancestor. I'm explaining it so terribly, but go read Psychic Witch by Matt Warren, because that's
We're just gonna pick up a phone.
This reminds me of I think in German folk magic and like German paganism, there's an idea that the soul has multiple parts and that it can act
Yes.
like that. So
I believe in
that
Chinese
It's like
mystical
facets.
practices
Isn't
as
it
well.
Greek too? Isn't that like a Greek thing too, with the whole concept of
no idea.
soulmates?
There's so many,
Yeah.
like
It would
German,
make sense,
Chinese, Greek, like there are
You know what that
multiple.
reminded me of, though? Have
They're
you
so
guys ever
similar.
seen Avatar: The Last Airbender?
No,
When
because my
like
mom thought it was satanic and I wasn't allowed to watch it as a kid.
my husband's literally in my kid's room right now watching that show with him, with my kids.
No, because I was an adult already.
I hated it as a kid. My sister really loved it though, so like this is why I know the analogy. But if you ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, so the whole concept is that like the Avatar is somebody who has all the 4 elements, right? Like he can airbend, firebend, earthbend, all those good things. And the Avatar is somebody who reincarnates constantly. So like they have the essence of every single Avatar that's like within them. So there's this one scene where they take Aang to like the ruins of the old air kingdom where like the old last airbender was or whatever. And he goes inside and he goes into this big temple with all these statues of different avatars and is like, oh, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. He has the essence of their soul. He has the essence of who they are. Like they were all individual people, but he still has part of their soul, and like they're still at rest. You know what I'm saying? They're still dead, but he still has that. So like that's how I see reincarnation a lot. It's fascinating.
Which makes sense. I feel like there's something to be said about soul physics at this point, because if multiple cultures come to the same idea, then they're like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's got to be, and then the Fire Nation attacks.
Here's a question for all of us here. Do any of you have any past life memories?
I don't want to know.
I have little blips, but please share.
Mimi,
would you
like to go first?
Oh, okay, I'll go first. All right, so the first one, and this is once again part of the ancestor work that I'm doing, but there will be times that I'll get like this huge wave of deja vu to the point where I'm like almost nauseous, and then like I will see, okay, for those who do not know, unfortunately, I have a gift of knowing, and it's fucking annoying, and I hate it so much, but that's just how God has blessed me. Amen. So I will be sitting doing something, and it could be as easy as like kneading some bread, and all of a sudden, like the smells will hit me first, and then the sounds will come where I am somewhere else, and it is me being like a reflection of that past life part, and it's fucking weird. But that's what y'all ever seen Quantum Leap?
No.
No. Okay, so this dude like leaps into different people in different time periods trying to find the last leap that takes him back to his body. So that's what it kind of feels like. It feels like I'm not in my body in the moment. It feels like I am living back in this memory. And then just like as soon as it comes, it goes off. So it's not even like hypnosis, remembering everything. It's like I'm fucking living it sometimes, and it's weird. It's fucking weird. But and it'll always be, it's usually like an ancestor tie or like a familial tie that way. There was one time that I was actually in the Highlands of Scotland, and that was fucking weird because I was outside picking clover in my yard, and then I was out in Scotland picking clover, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was fucking weird. But
yeah, no. See, that's why I was like, God, can I know my past lives? And he was like, no. And I'm like, okay. So I don't know why.
Well, some of them, like, if you have any that are, maybe you have one that's like kind of traumatic, because I used to have like gnarly nightmares as a kid, like age 4, like things that I could have never possibly been exposed to. Like my mom only let us watch like PG and G movies. I never saw anything violent on the news, but I would dream about things that I couldn't have even possibly known about.
yeah.
So I think there was that. I've done like past life regression meditations and was able to regain some memories from that. But I don't have any like regression memories from this. I just kind of know it in myself. I was a mother in a past life because I don't have any kids right now, but anytime I'm watching a movie with like a mother and a child, like in Prince of Egypt where she puts baby Moses in the basket and has to push him away, I
Oh yeah.
bawl
Oh, it was
every
awful.
time and I feel it in my soul, or any other kind of movie with that kind of scenario. And I'm like, I don't have kids. Why do I empathize with this? So, and I just know. So, um, I feel like that's kind of a way to know if you have past lives, like if you feel something you've never experienced, or like if you crave a food that you've never had. Like I was like, I really want like butternut squash soup, even though I've never had it before, but I'm like craving it. That kind of thing made me want to seek out
Okay.
like past life regression meditations.
Yep.
Y'all gonna make me curious, and then I'm gonna get my feelings hurt, and God's gonna be like, "You stupid bitch."
Don't do
And
a
then
whole past life regression. Do just like a tarot spread. Like just do like a couple, like ask a couple questions, just get a feeler for it if you think it's like something more like traumatic.
If
So
you
me
pull the tower,
personally,
do it.
yeah, that's I just tiptoe into it. It's not like something to like really dive into, especially like if there might be something that you can't learn or you shouldn't learn right now, you know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
also spirit isn't going to make you learn anything or let you learn anything that you really absolutely should not know.
That's
Um
fair.
I feel like if it's
That's
really
fair.
traumatic, you end up working on it as you follow your
mhm.
North Node and what you're supposed to be doing. So that heals
Yeah.
part of it. And as you are healing it, they're just like, you don't need to know. You put your band-aid on. You don't need to know where the scar is. Keep going. Like, you're
Yeah.
fine.
I mean, there's like honestly,
Maybe.
there's a reason that we don't remember, like fully remember our past lives. Like, could you imagine how fucking traumatic it would be to remember all of these things and be like, where's my mom? Where's my dad? Where's my kids? Like, who is everybody? Like that I think that there's a reason that we have that haze. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And when we get the bits and pieces that we do, it's because like in our lifetimes now, we have things that we
Yeah,
need
they're
to work
relevant.
on or can learn from these experiences or still not need to let go of from these things. But me personally, I have known from the time that I was conscious that I was my mother's mother in my past life before this. Like I have just genuinely known. It's something I've always said to her. It's like really spooky. We have very similar like interests, like very like specific personality traits. Like when I was a little kid, I really liked Dalmatian dogs. She really liked Dalmatian dogs. When I was a little kid, I would not go anywhere near floral prints. She hated floral prints. One thing that makes me really excited is watching airplanes take off and fly in the sky. She absolutely loved airplanes and used to like go and sit and watch airplanes like take off at our local airport. And I didn't know this until I was saying to my mom, I have this weird craving. I just want to go to the local airport and like sit there for a few hours and watch the airplanes take off. She's like, shut the fuck up, Lena. My mom used to do that. Like, what the hell? Like, um, also like apparently, when I was born, I was born really, really sick. I was born with pneumonia. So I literally like tried to peace out, after I was born and I died and they had to resuscitate me at birth. And right before that happened, like right before I died, my mom said that my face like turned into the face of her mom's and she couldn't explain that. And then like all of a sudden I kind of just went blue and was like, adios. So yeah, I'm like pretty sure I was her. Also, my mom and I are like, it's like spooky how close we are. Like there'll be times where I'm about to call her and then she starts calling me, or like we'll like text each other the same thing, or like it's just like I've definitely been here with her specifically, not like just her soul, but like her kind of thing. So yeah, very interesting. But that's my
That's really
biggest thing,
interesting.
past
That's
life
wild.
wise.
Yeah, no, I never get anything past. The only thing I do is sometimes I'll close my eyes and I will very vividly be nowhere that's on Earth that I can fucking tell, and I'm just like, who put me here? And eventually someone will pop up and be real cryptic, and I'll be like, thanks, I'm gonna go finish eating dinner. I'm so bad. The guides, like, that I have must be so pissed off because they're always trying to show me something, and I'm like, cool beans. Anyway, like, I don't care. But, also, There were a few questions in here. One that I would really like to answer. What do we think happens to bad people? So we kind of talked about it a little bit, but I want to talk about hellfire because people have the wrong idea about hellfire. People think that you go to hell and you burn there forever. No, the fire of God and the lake of sulfur and all the burning and all this spooky is not a permanent thing. The point of all of that is you get kind of dunked in there like a little acid bath, and then you come out all squeaky clean and shiny. So that's the real thing that's happening when you burn whatever. You're burning away all of the icky shit that you did so that you can pop back out and get back at it. It's not a permanent thing. It sucks and it's painful, but it's not meant to be a punishment. It's meant to be like, again, literally acid bath. Just clean it up kind
I
of thing.
also think, though, it's a case-by-case basis. If you're just,
too.
like, the average bad person, then, yeah, you get to be squeaky clean. But, like, I firmly
You can't
believe that,
dunk
like,
Ted Bundy.
yeah, or, like,
Yeah.
Tiny
There'll be a
Mustache
lot of them
Man.
left.
Tiny Mustache Man from Germany is there forever. Like, I do believe that, like, that level of,
Yeah.
there's
Like
no
you touch a
redeeming.
kid, like I don't think there's any hope for you. Like I'm
Right.
so sorry.
Right. Case by
I
case.
mean,
Now,
I'm
Deep
sure that
fry.
there's like case by case basis, and I'm sure like if it's like a hurt person, like kind of thing, like if it was like trauma cycling, I'm sure there's some sort of forgiveness. But you hurt a kid, I don't think really
Yeah.
like like your cereal or
Yeah.
Things
That
that
we
we
can't
I
can't
say
don't
say.
on
know.
here.
I just again like I believe that some people are just not created by God or like the good
Right.
place. So why would they go there? Like why would they go back to there if they didn't come from there?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I
so
feel
I
like I understand where you're. Oh, sorry, but Lena, I understand where you're coming from with that. I do think it's easy to kind of dehumanize people from that mindset. So I'm inclined to say that everyone is indeed of God, but I can only trust that God handles these people appropriately because I don't fucking know.
And that's absolutely valid. That's I think everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I just personally like I
Yeah,
can't like resonate with I don't know. There's just like certain things like people have really done that like have been really, really, really unspeakable. And I'm like, how could a good
yeah, it's kind of
God
hard to understand. Yeah,
create also like just like but I believe this with other things too, like not for nothing like ticks, okay? Like those little fucking bugs? What's the purpose of them in the ecosystem? There's
to
literally
feed
probably
birds.
to eat
none.
some.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
birds can eat
Possums eat
worms,
them.
birds can eat other bugs. There's besides giving you Lyme disease, there's really no purpose for ticks. So those things were
Not.
created by God. Sorry, like just that. So like,
I mean, mosquitoes too. Fuck them.
but they
yeah.
have a purpose for the ecosystem. So like, there's the thing. Like ticks literally don't. There's other foods for birds. There's nobody that solely survives off of ticks.
I feel
So
like it's either possums or
Uh,
anteaters. But was someone
yeah,
else?
there's
Maybe
little
were you
things to
saying
do.
something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so my personal belief for like super bad people is there was a concept of eternal punishment. And it's not to say that we will all get it, but it was at a Unitarian church that was talking about um, being connected to the spirit or being connected to God or however you want to call it is given a spark of hope. Eternal punishment is the removal of hope.
Mm.
So, like being denied God is the removal of that spark of hope that the Creator, the Spirit, whatever it is what it is. And that's punishment enough. It's as you continue to, as people have continued to be in that revel, or not. I'm trying not to use the word waller because I know you guys don't know what that means, but the souls that continue to like just wallow around in that lack of hope is what has created the idea of hell for a lot of people. That just God's like, and it's really only for like the super bad guys. And the super bad guys are the ones who continue to make choices to deny the love that was told to be shared. You broke the biggest rule. Love others as you love yourself. That is through all religions, that is through all nations, not just Christianity. And you continue to make choices thank you. You continue to make choices to not do that. And therefore, the worse you got, the more guys are like, no hope for you.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense. I could survive the primordial deep fryer if I knew I was getting out of there at some point. But if I
Yeah.
didn't, then I'd be like, well, well,
Primordial
shit.
deep fryer.
That's what I'm calling God's operation now. It's the primordial deep fryer. uh,
It goes in
but
and out.
Okay,
hello, what's
wait.
going
I
on?
have a question for Sarah. So you were talking about how God's backyard is so scary. So then do you think that like paradise is a separate place? Like what do you think that is?
Well, yes.
Yes?
Okay, listen. So right, like just like Lina was saying, he prepares a special room for us all. Saint Dismas had this most beautiful, serene paradise. Meanwhile, I go to find my guardian angel, and he's hanging out at the fucking foot of Mount Doom. I'm like, dude, what are you fucking? Why are we here? And he's like, cause you're a pain in the ass. I'm like, oh, okay. So, but Saint Dismas had like beautiful sunset and like the grass rolling in the wind and like all this shit. And some weird fucking angels hanging around too that looked like Dr. Seuss characters. To be honest, that was fucking weird. But like, then again, then there's like I was hanging out with Azazel. We were in heaven. God was on top of that mountain with his eyeball, like, and I'm just like, you don't show him where you're gonna put him. Like that's a little bit much, and so I don't know.
No,
God
yeah,
was
he
like, "Don't
did.
worry about it." I'm like, "I'm worried about it."
Do you see this mountain?
uh,
This mountain is where this is your mountain now. This is your
Literally,
mountain,
I'm
my
sorry.
dude.
That's why the Book of Enoch is the funniest shit to me because Enoch's like, "Are you gonna like be nice to them?" And God's like, "Come here, come here. You see that? This is where I'm gonna dunk them, like real good, like a McNugget." And I'm just
Like the Nick
And you
Nugget.
have to watch. And you have to watch. You did.
yeah. And Enoch goes
It's
back
like
to the
Tobit
washers.
is
He's
like a
like,
mind blow.
"Guys, sorry. Which sauce would you like?
Poor
You want honey
Enoch.
mustard or you want ranch?" Like,
God did a lot to Enoch. God didn't even let Enoch die. Like poor man's, he just like walked into
yeah, dude, just
heaven.
come here.
Like he didn't even allow him to like get that peace. So
No. God
He's
said,
like,
"Nah,
I
we
put
got,
you
we
to
got
work
shit to
as
do."
a human, and now you're gonna be an angel, and guess what? I'm gonna put you to work.
so like my question as somebody okay, so like my biggest question is like is the Enoch angel, does he look like a biblically accurate angel or does he just look like a dude because he was just a dude? He just like
To
I
walked.
me,
saw
he
him with
looks
the
like a
pseudo
dude.
armor, so.
So
Yeah.
that would be Metatron. Metatron personally gives me Uncanny Valley vibes, and if you don't know what, for those
Yeah.
watching, if you don't know what that means, it's when you
Huh.
see like an animated character who like almost looks human, but like there's an evolutionary instinct inside of you that knows that it's not human, even though it looks like a human, and so that evolutionary part of you thinks that it's a predator. So that is like the vibe that I get from Metatron. It's like you look like a human, but I know that you're not a human, and therefore I am kind of scared of you and you kind of freak me out. So
That
I
makes
have
sense.
always said that out of every angel, no matter how many eyeballs or wings or feet they have, Metatron freaks me out the most because of the uncanny valley that he has.
That's so funny. No, that was me and Raphael. I love Raphael, but man, the one time I spoke to him, he came looking like Byzantine art. He's like, "I'm gonna put a helmet on." I'm like, "No, take the helmet off." And then it was just like static for eyes and like Byzantine weird face. And I was like, "Can you at least try to look like a person?" He's like, "That's not important." I'm like, "Okay."
That's why
I'm so
fucking
lucky
Gabriel
my
scares me so fucking bad.
no, I'm lucky.
It's
Nobody
like
comes to
right
me
here,
like
just
scary
like, what
ways.
the fuck?
Nobody comes to me scary ways. Luckily, like everybody comes to me very, and this is what I think is the benefit of being a Taurus sun and moon, because if they did not come to me in a logical way that I could materialize in my head, I'd be like, I'm just crazy. I'm seeing things. I need to go to a doctor. So I think that they like, come to me. So like for me, I genuinely I see Venus as a woman. I see Jesus as a dude. I'm sorry. I see whitewashed Jesus. I know I'm a basic. I don't see Middle Eastern
No,
Afro Jesus,
I
but
always look at him and I'm like, "Can we not white Jesus right now?" And then he'll kind of change it a little bit. But that's always my first one too. And I'm
I
like,
always get
"God."
I always get white Jesus. I mean, like if you've ever seen my husband, he looks like white Jesus. So of course I see white Jesus first.
That's the
Like
pictures
come
we
on.
have.
Yeah,
Okay,
my
but I see Greek Jesus. He's got like olive skin instead of browner skin, and his hair is like darker and heavier. Like he's got very Greek accent. And I'm just like,
Beautiful.
can we? You're brown, dude. Can you be brown?
You're
Like, can we
I
be
know.
accurate? Like,
My
I mean, like, yes,
favorite.
I should see Jesus as like a brown, like we're literally both from Palestine. I should see him as one of my peoples, but like, no, he looks like my husband to me. Kind of
My
sad.
favorite like Jesus portrayal is from the Mary Magdalene movie, so I always see him as Joaquin Phoenix first, and then I gotta be like,
Okay, I
wait,
gotta Google that dude now.
My
I'm
boy.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh
great
shit.
Oh my
movie.
I'm
god,
sorry.
Wait, hold on, hold on,
Hannah!
hold on. This comment right now. This,
Have you ever seen him in as Jesus though?
That's what I
Joaquin
just
Phoenix
Googled him
as
as
Jesus.
Jesus. That's
Yeah.
okay. Actually, I get it, but like, I feel like he looks too
the
old to be
chosen's a good
Jesus. Jesus is
Jesus.
only 33. Although, you know what? The
Listen
stress might
though.
age the dude. So,
However,
Yeah.
like as far as like
I
character
felt like he
wise
had
goes,
SPF.
I know that we're getting like kind of off topic here. As far as like
Sorry.
characterization goes, it is single-handedly the best performance of someone portraying Jesus I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of Jesus movies. And the casting could have been like a little better, but they did have like 90% Jewish and Israeli actors. So it's like, well, that's better than most of the movies. But it's so good. It's so good. Anyway.
No, that's fair. Wait,
interesting.
but hold on, this comment right now is like killing me because that one time I viscerally felt Jesus was in my room doing absolutely nothing. Yeah, he does that.
Yeah.
One time I was hanging out with
Dude.
like Michael, Lucifer, and then Jesus was just sitting there with like a hood on, like trying to, as if I couldn't see him. And I was like, hello, sir? And he's like, don't worry. I'm like, you're just here? Like,
Jesus
spying? What are
is
you
the
doing?
Kermit the Frog meme with the hood. Like,
Yeah, like I was like he was just sitting there with his knees up and the hood on, and I'm like sitting here in the middle of this room, like, who let you in? Like, why
well,
are
you
you
see,
sitting there?
when you think about it, what's scarier is he probably did that with the disciples. Like, they're just trying to get the bread ready, and they turn around and they're like, oh.
Yeah.
No, okay. Top 10 Jesus story is when they're freaking out in the boat, and Jesus literally gets up and is like, "What is wrong with you?" And then just like yells at the storm until it stops, and I'm like,
It just calms down. Oh, I love
like,
that.
stop! Why are we so unchill? Like, um, please
We
read.
have read
Yeah,
that
I
verse.
did. I not only did I read it, I also wrote about why it doesn't mean what you think it says in the book that Mimi and I are writing. So,
Oh,
I'm
I
not going to
missed
say
something.
what
Hang
my
on.
first impulse was to say, but God bless you.
God
Satan
Anyway.
bless
bless
you.
you.
Bless your heart.
Ask God for the truth.
Oh, we
What the
blessing
fuck do
hearts.
you
I'm
think
sorry. I'm
any
just
of us are doing?
bless your
Okay,
heart,
yes, okay,
honey.
fine,
Let me
fine,
Bless
tell
fine,
your
you
fine.
what,
heart.
sweetheart.
We
No. Let me
gotta
tell
do
you what.
gotta do it to some of them at least once every fucking life. But
Listen,
yeah, no,
There is a point
if there
where
isn't somebody accusing us of going to hell in this live, did we actually do it?
no.
no, it's
No,
not alive unless someone came in
exactly.
here. Um,
Also,
anyway, that was
yes, but in a different way. I think in a matter of like, did we? Bye. And
what?
they were polite about it though. Look at them.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
mean,
for stopping
God
by.
bless you, bud. You're better
I'm
than
praying for
most.
you too, sweetie. Praying for you
Oh
too.
my.
But
Don't take
So,
the system off, honestly.
but
You pray back.
what I would say is that in the Book of Enoch, what it was given to us is the angels. So, because of men
yeah,
and how they did
instantly
Mama
Diana was like,
Asherah so fucking dirty, okay? And how they just kind of squashed everything that was supposed to be given to us. And the angels are just like, hey, but like, they were supposed to have this. But hey, like, wouldn't it be cool if they had this again? I want to see what they do if they have the magic again, like they're supposed to. And then just like, let me show you. Because, you know, when you love something, don't you want them to have the very best of the best? Don't you want them to be the very best that they are? So let me have all this potential for you. And God was like, what did I tell you? They can't have that. How dare you?
you know what it
Like,
reminds me of? It reminds me of, I guess, a really good parallel story, because a lot of people are like, here's a fucking problem. A lot of people are like, magic bad, because fallen angel teach us magic. And it's like, well, they
yes.
also taught us metalworking and makeup. So if you're wearing makeup or on your phone, zip. But beyond that, a good parallel to understand the situation is the story of Prometheus and the fire. Are we all
Mm-hmm.
going to hell for using fire? No. Was it bad for us to have fire? Not really. Prometheus got fucked because those were the secrets of the heavens. And the Olympic gods were like, oh shit, now mankind's gonna be like us. Same fucking
Mm-hmm.
thing happened in the Book of Enoch, where basically those were like corporate secrets. That was like the KFC chicken spice, and God was like, why the fuck did you give that out? And Azazel was like, seemed like fun at the time, like it. So that was
You
the
gave it
problem. It
to
wasn't like,
everybody, Azazel. Only some people can handle this, and you gave it to everybody. Why did you give all the kindergartners glitter?
that, yeah, he gave kindergartners glitter, and then there was a
They
glitter
have
fucking
made a
bomb,
mess.
and everyone, the Watcher's still in heaven looking down, like, oh no, it's a
Yeah.
lot of glitter on the carpet.
It's never gonna come
I know
off.
that
I'm
the
sorry.
Watchers. The Watchers is like actually a term, but anytime I hear that, I just think of Jehovah's Witnesses. Like that's all I think about,
Lol.
and the
Yeah, you're not
Watchtower.
wrong.
They're so
Yeah, I live so
interesting.
close to so many Jehovah's Witnesses, so like I'm like constantly thinking about them. So yeah.
The
And
Watchers are
Thank
the
you.
see,
angels in heaven that literally watch over humanity. That's why they're called that.
yeah.
So Azazel used to be a Watcher. Then he looked around and was like, I ain't getting fucked unless someone's coming with me. And so everyone said, fine, fine. Well, we'll all take wives together. And Azazel's like, great, cool. Now it's not... He got scapegoated anyway. Poor fucking guy.
And then that's
he
what
got
people
screwed for
believe
it.
are like giants, right? That was like the
Yep.
Nephilian. That's how we got them.
Yep.
The Nephilim.
Yep.
But you know what? There's written about giants in every religion. So you know what? Just that's always there. But you know, can I
I
just
I mean,
like
I don't know. I mean, we literally like don't know. Like the olden time. This is gonna sound so crazy, but the olden times could have been like a fantasy like book. Like we don't know if there were like giants and like what kind of beasts were rolling around. Like just
giants
honest
and
to God.
dragons and unicorns and all kinds of stuff? They
I
had
don't
to
know
come
if there
from
were like
somewhere.
actual dragons, but
would love
like
it.
they had to have some sort of reference point when writing these stories, right? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, that's just me.
It'd be so good.
Yeah,
I
I
would
need
love
you guys
it so
to see
much,
this.
TBH.
The Morrigan
Yeah.
really likes this conversation, apparently.
Oh, I love her so much. I talked to her
I do
once.
too.
You know, the way I saw it was really interesting. She's one goddess, but like at her feet are the three that make her up.
Yeah.
And that was very interesting. So I was like, what?
I only have one candle unpacked right now, and it's the one from my guardian angel, but she seems pretty happy.
Oh, I have no candles going because I'm stupid, but that's okay.
I have no
God
candles
side-eyes me
either,
all the
Sarah. It's okay. We're good.
time. But later I do have to hang out with Lucifer because he helped me out in the big ol' working I did the other night. So now he's like, okay, but you gotta come hang out. You skipped last time, and I'm like, fine. But anyway, we were talking about the afterlife. So I mean, as far as I'm concerned, here's my thing. A lot of people say, oh, how do you get over the fear, right? Like this is, I think, another part of the afterlife. How do you get over the fear of where you're going? Straight up, I have already kind of. This is where people say, oh, you're deceived and you're going to hell. I have already looked God like in the eyeballs, given that I can't see his eyeballs, but I've looked in his general direction and I've been like, you have so many points to tell me if I'm fucking up. If you do not tell me that I'm fucking up when I'm fucking up, then where I go is literally not my fault anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm doing what I perceive you to be telling me to do. If it is not what it is, then this is your fault now. And God's just kind of like looking at me like, bet. And I'm like, but, you know. So that's how I absolve myself of all responsibility and thought. I don't really think about where I'm going when I die because I'm like, well, wherever I go, I must have earned it.
What do you have? A Sagittarius rising?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that is a Sagittarius outlook on life, people. Right there. Personally for me, I'm absolutely this is a very honest admission. I'm very terrified of dying. Like I think that is really scary. It's super permanent, and the fact that we don't know exactly what is 100% going to happen does not sit well with like the control freak in me. So that's why I personally really like reincarnation, because it like makes it feel less permanent. You know what I'm saying? And there's also there's Bible verses that reference reincarnation. I could talk about them really quick if you guys want. But it specifically has to do with Elijah, and then John the Baptist. So
God, Elijah's fucking so funny.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. So like essentially like Elijah, um, in the book of Malachi, it first starts off in verses 3:1, where God is telling Malachi, who's a prophet, that he's going to send a messenger before uh, before who who's Jesus who's coming, or like him who's coming down, and basically like the Lord, he says that this messenger of the covenant will come, and to whom you seek so eagerly is surely coming. They right, so like when they see this messenger, they'll know that he's coming. Then in Malachi 4, 5, 6, I should just quick note, I have an episode of my podcast about this. I have a podcast called the Jesus Witch Podcast. I have an episode about reincarnation. It's a lot more eloquent than I'm doing here, because I'm just trying to like spitball the information quickly. But then in Malachi 4, 5, 6, he like explicitly says, look, I am sending you the prophet of Elijah before the great and dreadful day of the Lord arriving. His preaching will turn the hearts of fathers to their children, and the hearts of children to their fathers, like all this stuff, right? And then we're going to jump into Luke. In Luke, Archangel Gabriel, before John the Baptist is born, he describes him by saying, and he will turn many of the children of Israel to the Lord their God, and he will go before them in the spirit and power of Elijah, to turn the hearts of the fathers to their children, and make the disobedient wisdom ready for the Lord, and make their hearts prepared. This is literally echoing what was said back in Malachi 4, 5, and 6, where he's saying like he's going to help prepare the people's hearts for the day of the Lord. Then, jumping into Matthew, the way that Jesus describes John the Baptist, he says that if you're willing to say, this is in Matthew 11:14, he says, if you're willing to accept what I say, he is Elijah. The other prophet said he would come. Anyone who has ears should listen and understand. So Jesus, like, there's several verses where he's like literally being described as Elijah. And then again, in Matthew 17, 10 verses 13, the disciples asked, why do the teachers of religious law insist that Elijah must return before the Messiah? And then Jesus said, Elijah is indeed coming first to get everything ready. But I tell you, Elijah has already come, but he wasn't recognized, and they chose to abuse him. And in the same way, they will make the Son of Man suffer. They made John the Baptist suffer. And eventually they realized that that's who they were talking about in these verses. So, I mean, there's a lot of like biblical evidence for reincarnation. Then there's a lot of like scientific evidence. There's Dr. Ian Stevenson. He did like a whole study back in the 60s on kids who could recognize or remember their past lives. And there's a book called like The 20 Past Lives of Children or something like that, or The 20
Oh yeah, I've heard about that one.
Yeah, it's fucking intense. It is super academic, and it's written like a study, because that is what it is. Dr. Ian Stevenson was not a past life regressionist, not a spiritualist. He was a regular old doctor who like learned about this stuff and was like, that's fascinating. Let me, learn more about this. So that book's really good too if you're looking into reincarnation. And then he influenced these two works, which is Dr. Michael Newton's Journey of Souls, which this just basically like tells you like what a soul's journey is, like explaining what the process of reincarnation is, and what like the process of choosing like a life is, and why each of us end up in the lives that we have. And then we have Dolores Cannon. Dolores Cannon she was a really famous past life regressionist and just hypnotist in general. Some people know her most for her like works where she did hypnosis and regressed people to talk to the Hunchback of Notre Dame, that guy. They had people talk to Nostradamus in her work, and like learn about like the future, like what was going on, and like all these different things. And she has a lot of fascinating work. But this specific book, The New Earth, talks about like why people today are like incarnating, and like what like we're going through spiritually, and like what the Earth is like learning during like this like cycle of like souls that are coming to Earth, and like basically like all of us who are incarnated now, and like our kids and our kids, why we're all here, and like the mission of us. So if you're just like looking for reincarnation information, this is more like solid. I've read this book like 2 or 3 times. It's only like 200 pages. You can get through it. Not even 200 pages. It's like less than 200 pages. You can get through it in a day. It's absolutely fantastic. Highly recommended if you're interested in it. But yeah, that's my spiel on reincarnation. If you want to hear a better, more eloquent conversation on that, I have it on my podcast, the Jesus Witch podcast. It's actually a episode with my friend Shea Grillo, who is a past life reader. She does like past life tarot readings. So there you go. Sorry.
Damn.
That's my spiel.
No, that's like
That's
reincarnation is
awesome.
so interesting, but I feel like I'd be so fucking tired to like be coming back here all the time. So that's why God doesn't want me to know. Because if I find out, I'm probably gonna just start swinging at everybody.
Yeah. I
But
literally like said to Jack, I said to him, can we like not reincarnate next time? Can we just like relax? And he's like, Lina, you know us. We're gonna come back. I'm like, fuck, you're right. Fuck.
get me
So
off this fucking ride. Yeah, no.
yeah.
But Mackenzie, I need to like do an entire. I don't even know what I need to do about that book because what Paul really said about women. That book first, yes. So Paul is off my shit list officially now. Yay, we love Paul in this house. I'll fight people for Paul. Saint
Yes.
Augustine is
Paul
catching every fucking
says.
hand I have. Paul's good. I love Paul. Okay, I realize now that Paul was trying his damnedest, and everyone around him was such a fuckhead. So it's just like I also understand now why he was so intense in the Gospels, where he was just
Yeah.
constantly like, "What the fuck?" Because like, but yeah,
Hey,
no, that
Sarah,
book basically.
As a Virgo, does Paul give you Virgo energy too? He gives me hardcore Virgo energy.
I just keep thinking of this one line in Corinthians. Am I not an apostle? Did I not? And I'm just like, Paul, gee, yeah. Like,
So
I get
funny.
so tired reading his words, but I'm also like, damn, I relate that. Fuck. But no, yeah, so I don't know. Well, we could talk about that book another time, but the premise is that Paul was actually like, women are good, and they should learn with the men, and they should be equal to men, and everyone else was like, did you mean that women, our property? I think that's what you really meant. And Paul was like, I will shit my
No.
own loincloth. I
You need to
will
make
shit
this
my own
on
pet.
your YouTube.
Yeah, right? Like, I gotta make the whole ass thing because this is like, uh. I would like pop into
Yeah.
my boyfriend's office while he was streaming, and I'd be like, "How do I send a bomb on Aristotle's head? How do I put it in a time machine and fucking airstrike Aristotle?" Like, this fucking guy. But anyway,
But
um,
anyway.
I'll add that to my reading list. I was in the middle of reading a Jesus book and then I moved into a house. So I need to
since
finish
everyone,
that
yeah,
book and then
no,
Hang on, we gotta get champions on.
the what Paul really said about women is like super quick. It's like it's like 120 pages, not even. So it's like super quick. But
And
it's
I'm reading
blood
Jesus
pressure
and John
raising.
Wayne, so that one's fun.
That literally, I took a break from Jesus and John Wayne to read the Paul book, and I don't know why I thought that one was gonna be any better. Both of them had me like fucking foaming at the mouth for days. I was so mad.
All right.
But
But like the Jesus and
anyway,
John Wayne book is literally the men in my childhood. Like the men that I grew up. The pastors in my family. I had so many pastors in my
dude,
family. We were all see you later. All of them
this is like
evangelical in the mountains, and that whole book. I'm like, did you know my life? Is this where I
no, that's what I
was?
was saying. Like another fucking thing we have to talk about because like I used to be very hesitant to say that like evangelicals are not worshiping God because I didn't want to be pulling a no true Scotsman. But now I'm
we're
like,
not.
no, y'all created a fucking egregore. You think
Yeah.
Jesus was white with a fucking AK-47 and that
Yes.
he just wanted to punch kids and beat women and all that? Like, what the fuck? So I'm just like, this ain't God. And if you try to tell me this God said to tell you you're wrong, I'm gonna go fucking find whatever God you think you're talking to, and I'm gonna put it in a fucking jar because it's an egregore. It's not real.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I feel like that whole like God told me to tell you you're doing wrong. That comes from the whole like
Yeah.
baptize and make disciples bullshit, which is like it, the way to show the way to show people Jesus is to act like him. You don't need to take the name Jesus Christ and shove it down somebody's throat in 10 different ways for them to see Jesus. Like me personally, like my biggest experience with Jesus has been through like I have a lot of chronic pain and health issues, and because of that I have to like kind of work around the medical system, so I see a naturopath, and my naturopath is like literally like he's Jesus to me. He like, you know, charges people what they can afford. He just cares about healing people. He's constantly like giving away sessions, giving away herbs, you know, like helping other people, offering free advice, like really just genuinely trying to heal people. And he's like, I'm here to heal. Like, I'm not here to make money off of this. Like, I need to pay my bills and God will provide that, but I'm here to help. And like that is how he that's his mission, that's his testimony, that's how he shares Christ with other people. You don't need to take Christ, take his name and say he told me to tell you you're sinning. No, what you need to do is go love that person and like actually genuinely get to know them and understand them and figure out why you think what they're doing is a sin, because 9 out of 10 it's probably not. It's probably just a situation of like Matthew 7:5, where, you know, Jesus says that before you look at the speck in somebody else's eye, you got to take the plank out of your own. So,
Literally, this is why, like, I'm reading the Gospels, I'm like, now I understand why Jesus was pissed, like, 9 fucking times out of 10, and, like, the last
yeah.
time he was just fucking tired. Like, poor dude. But also, what else? I remember, speaking of, God told me to tell, I can't stand when people do this shit, because one time, like, I talked to Archangel Raziel, it was very interesting, I posted about it, and some fucking lady stitched me and was like, I'm not gonna say anything except that God told me to tell you that Raziel is a fallen angel. And I'm like, first time I'm hearing that. So I googly boogly, and the only thing I can find about Raziel being a fallen angel is some fucking shirtless dude shitty fucking romance on Kindle. And I'm like,
What? Ew.
so I'm like, girly.
I mean, no shade to people who like those like cheesy romance
No,
novels,
no,
but
no,
like,
no. Listen,
ew.
we
But
all love
if
it,
that
but
pops up in
that's
her Google, what is she Googling?
Yeah.
but because I'm just like, girly, that's not an academic source. Like,
Curly
so I
pasta.
was like, okay, don't tell me God told you about this, and the only thing I could find about it is this fucking romance. I will, like, oh my god.
And honestly, it's to the point where it's like, if God tells me to tell you something, it's probably wrong, because when God talks to me, it is for me and only for me.
Yeah,
He
God
Yeah.
will
just
figure out how
like
to tell you. Like,
God
If
doesn't
God
need
wants,
other people to tell me things. He can tell me
yeah,
things.
he
yeah.
absolutely
yeah.
just rolls into my like that. Yeah, that's the thing. God tells me shit directly. He doesn't need some random ass stitching my videos to tell me something. That's why I'm like, keep your egregore, baby. But if I see that thing, I'm gonna kill it.
It's on
Don't bring
site.
that thing near me.
No, I
God.
mean,
There's
like, I
only
definitely think that, like, God, like, speaks to us, you know, through other people and through, like, experiences. And, like, you know, like, somebody could, like, say something to you about God, or, like, that's the whole purpose of going to a fucking sermon, right? But, like, ultimately, at the end of the day, not everything is meant to resonate with you. You're not meant to, like, take every single thing to heart and, like, make it part of your practice, make it part of your faith. Different things speak to different people, and that's why, like, you know, the way that I worship doesn't look the same as, you know, Hannah or Sarah or Mimi. Like, we all worship in different ways, because like ultimately God created us differently. Wouldn't it be really fucking boring if we all looked the same? I mean, like, remember that episode of Fairly Odd Parents when Timmy wished that everybody
yeah,
was the same and they were all gray? That was no fun. Why would we want
yeah.
that? Why do we want the world to be like that? I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't.
that is.
And you know
I
what?
learned from my
That's
children's
exactly it.
shows. You know what I'm saying? Like, I learned from my cartoons, and I know I don't want everybody gray in this world. So thank you.
Now, somebody made a good point when they were like, they act like God speaks through them like they're special. God is speaking, or the spirit, or a source, or whatever, is always speaking to you. Whether or not you have healed, or done your work, done your research, are willing to listen and recognize the patterns, is how you'll know who's talking to you. It's not a matter of, and also, a unfair source maybe, but I believe that you can follow Jesus and be really cool and chill and everything, but God, like the Hebrew God, picks you like the other deities pick you, and that's why people have trouble connecting and have trouble trying to figure out, hey, why isn't this working for me? Hey, I can't understand why I'm not hearing, why are my prayers from God? Like, what's going on? Like, I follow Jesus and I believe in everything. It's like, you're not his like you think you are. You
Yup.
are you are a beautiful soul and God recognizes that you're a beautiful soul, but like you're probably like Zeus's. Go over there. Like
Mm-hmm.
No, literally, and that's like the craziest thing to realize, and that's also where, like, I don't know, I feel like all of us at some point have gotten the question, like, well, why are you still Christian then? If you know that all of these terrible things happen in Christianity, like, why are you still Christian? It's like, how do I explain to you that, like, I got picked up like a fucking cosmic crane machine, and I can't just undo that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
this is where
And
we
it's
are.
Oh,
not even a matter of like
Ah.
Yeah, right?
how else do we explain it except like please like I am not, and I was saying this on Lina's podcast, that I don't like calling myself a Christian because I am not what modern society sees as a
Mm.
Christian. I am
mm-hmm.
not that belief, and then it's so hard to separate. Like we use Christian witchcraft so people can find us and be like, here's the thing.
Yeah.
But like Jesus witch is accurate because I do Jesus magic, and just folk magic, folk witch. It's so hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard to sit there and be like, that's what it is. But do I have a choice? Like I swear to God, like the Morrigan is my family's, my ancestors' guardian, my ancestors' deity through all of life since I was very very small. But God also was like, yeah, but this was still mine too, and like just like you can
Mm-hmm.
have a mom and dad and a stepmom and stepdad. I also have deities who feel like step parents. Like it's literally just oh, but she's mine too. Like oh, and she's mine too. Now, I yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how that works, and we won't even talk about the Egyptian pantheon sitting here fighting in my living room.
Oh
So
my goodness.
personally, like I obviously like I don't feel so comfortable calling myself like a Christian or
What
a
did
Christian
I
witch because
just say, Ashley Ray? The fuck? Do you not
Jesus,
listen,
this was
Fuck,
baby? Jesus.
bitch, shit, ass.
No,
God
we're
damn it.
it's not even cussing. If I swearing to God, because I said I swear to God, but, baby, don't you just understand? Like, what did I just
anyway,
say?
some people really just do not like think.
Stop.
It goes
There was
right
no
over my head.
cognition there. Anyway, so like personally, like for me, like I obviously like I
I
don't feel
lost a
comfortable
child.
calling myself like a
Where'd you go?
Christian or a Christian witch, but like I feel like my faith is almost like, and I don't think that this is resonant for everybody who's a Christian witch or a Jesus witch, whatever. I feel like my faith is almost
Excuse me.
an aspect of activism in the way that I share it. And like, like the whole like, and I don't mean to get political because I really like
Aww.
truly try to keep a very neutral political tone because I want everybody to be able to consume Jesus witch content. I genuinely don't care what other people think. I care about, getting this message of God and like him loving other people and Jesus loving other people and like showing that this is possible and like you can do this kind of stuff without feeling condemned and without feeling like trapped in a box. I feel like that's more important. And so that's what I focus on. And that's what I like say to people. And like, so for me, my faith is like almost like an aspect of activism where it's like I help other people like get to that point where they can feel accepted, or like at least I hope to do that. Um, so that's just, but that's like my point being is like you don't need the label Christian or something to do that, but I feel like it helps having like that's why I still tag my stuff as like Christian witch because it'll help people get to that point even if I don't necessarily resonate as it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I'm going to
no,
agree there.
that makes
Jesus is
sense.
not political.
Jesus is
Yeah,
not
no.
political.
We can, like,
You can
assign,
form
like,
political
modern.
opinions based on like what he says because of your
Yeah.
own personal life experience, but that's not like I mean I don't know. That might just be a really controversial
I
thing to say,
think
but
a lot of the things that Jesus said were common sense that stupid
Yeah.
humans have turned into
yeah,
political idea.
there
Like,
you
for
go.
example, I don't like most people would think that, like, oh, being nice to queer people is just common sense and common decency. But unfortunately, given the world that we
Yeah.
live in, it has had into a political thing. So
Hmm.
at
Yeah.
his core, Jesus is not political, but because humans are stupid, it is.
I think, yeah,
There you go.
this is kind of the, yeah, this is a problem, isn't it? It's more like, it's not that Jesus is inherently political, it's just that in a world like this, if you follow Jesus, you are going to have to get political, because, like, my hard line is, like, I don't give a shit what someone's politics are until they start taking people's rights away. Then it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Listen,
Like,
that's
what are you doing?
exactly it. my political views end where yours, like, where your body begins. Like, that's it. Like, just don't touch me. I'm not going to touch you. End of story. That's that.
So,
I think that's common
all right.
sense, though. Why is that politics? But that's,
But Jesus was a mystic.
Absolutely, he was a mystic. I think we could all agree on that one.
Yeah.
There was a book about Saint Hildegard by Matthew Fox that summed it up, and it said a prophet is just a mystic that is out to like stir up some shit. And I was just like, yeah, yeah. But yeah, no. So like when it like was Jesus a political figure in his time? That's the thing. I don't think he was trying to be. Like I really don't think he was actively trying to be.
In the beginning, he was not.
Yeah,
He was
In the
more of
beginning,
a,
he
he
was
actually
not.
was,
stupid humans, like the Roman government
yeah.
saw him and went, "Oh, we got to stop that." It's not
Yeah.
that he was
But the
trying
biggest
to
part,
stand up to the government. It's that the government just happened to catch wind of him and went,
Originally,
now,
he was considered a post-apocalyptic preacher originally. And then, but if you look at him more through like today's lens, and then towards the end of his life, he became more political based on, again, the view that, like what Hannah was saying, he was seen through, but like the type of like preacher that he is, the type of like rabbi that he falls under the category is post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. Now, on the other side of this, and getting back into the politics, so what happened was that when Jesus was coming through, and he was supposed to, and his message was, "I have come to deliver my people." He was Jewish. God told him, "Go do the thing with the Jews. Please tell them to stop being so quite religious. They have lost sight of what's going on. Come and lead them back to my love and what I want to do for the people, instead of being like religion for the sake of rules and religion and power." And when Jesus was like, "Hey, let's go do the thing," and the Pharisees were like, "Oh, excuse me, what?" That's when he started getting a little bit more political, because he actually went to them and was like, "You guys have fallen from my father. I will reach out to those who want to hear his message now." So, and that's, luckily for us, that's why we can do what we can do. But he did not start off being political. He was essentially forced into a political arena because of the way the Romans and the Pharisees were working together.
Oh god, yeah, and especially the Pharisees though, because like that's where I think because Israel was subjugated by Rome, there was this idea that like no, like they had to constantly show mourning and things like that. So when Jesus is drinking and making merry, that's why the Pharisees are like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And Jesus is like, "We don't got time to sit here and cry." Like, so I mean, a lot of the things he did are absolutely like you can absolutely see them in a political context and in a political way. I do feel though that Jesus was trying to just be like, "Hello, there's one thing we need to do right now, and none of that like give to Caesar what unto Caesar what is Caesar's." That's kind of Jesus being like, "I don't give a fuck," like the whole thing is Jesus being like, "I don't fucking care." So
Thank you.
And fighting
but
stuff for the people in the church. Think about it this way: people were traveling to get to Jerusalem. Are you going to get this lamb and travel it with your family the whole way there? Are you going to have all these? Are you going to park all of these things? No, it was a matter of convenience, because the only place to do sacrifice at the time in history. Now, this is own personal study and part of the Jewish things that I was going through. The idea was not that he's speaking out and destroying the people in the church. The people who were there were being unjust. They were overpricing things. They were trying to basically just get as much money as they could from the people who were traveling in and already spending so much time and energy to get to the temple, because that was the holiest place to be. So it wasn't a matter of like, these people are bad because they're selling stuff in the church. No, it's because what they were doing was robbing people blind, and they were breaking Judaic law by doing that. So, not even a stop sacrificing animals. It wasn't even stop sacrificing animals. It was stop overcharging people who already give what they're supposed to do. You're breaking Judaic law. Because if you go all the way back
it's taking
to
advantage of people,
Leviticus
yeah.
and Deuteronomy, they talk about like the levels, how everything has to be just level and just right, and God gives them exactly how much what is supposed to be. And because of that, yeah, and yep.
But yeah, that's the
I could
thing.
have
It's
that talk
like
all day.
it's a fun thing where it's like, was it meant to be political? No. Did it become political? Absolutely. Because unfortunately, being a good person becomes political because it's not
Yeah.
it's not profitable, and it's
Sense.
not helpful to one's status and hierarchy to be a good person. Being a good person doesn't get you riches and fame and all this other shit. It usually gets you kicked in the ass. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
A lot of it is just, and all of that feeds right back into what did Jesus say? You know, what did Jesus say about the afterlife? Nobody can get to the afterlife except through me. And I feel like that's because Jesus was saying, chill out, be groovy, and love one another like you're supposed to. We asked you to love one another. So
I
you're going
feel
to go
like
to
there
your
was
paradise if you just love one another.
I feel like there was a Gnostic gospel where Jesus was saying that we get reincarnated until we figure our shit out. But I
That's
don't know which
in,
one it was.
it's insinuated in one of Mary Magdalene's chapters
Okay, because I
to
was
learn with your
like,
innermost self.
I thought it was that, but then I read it and I was like, what? I mean, in
I mean,
fairness,
just
the
like
Gospel of
based
Judas
on
is kind of
who
fucking
Jesus
bonkers.
was and like the time he was born in and like the area that he lived in, he probably believed in reincarnation because a lot of Jewish sects did believe in reincarnation. That's why there's not that much of a set opinion in Judaism about what happens after you die. There's like several different ones, and one of the different ones is that reincarnation happens. It's also reincarnation is a big part of Kabbalah practice. So like he probably recognized reincarnation himself, and but that doesn't discount the whole like paradise thing because we do go somewhere to rest for a little bit before reincarnating again. At least that's what I believe, and that's
You're
Yeah.
what
taking like you're
Dr. Michael
taking a
Newton
week
taught me.
off of living.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Which
I
is
need
why I say,
more than
like,
a
you
week
have a
after this
choice.
life. I need like a while. Like if I'm right and like I was my grandmother, I only had like 13 years. She died in 85 and then I was born in 97. So like I need next lifetime, I need like a solid like
Same.
113 years. So like yeah.
Brosif, no, the word that gets translated into hell is Gehenna, which is like a really shitty trash dump town. At the time, like people would burn their trash there, and it was just gross and bad.
And
So he
they
was
put
basically
bodies
saying like,
there.
Yeah, they
yeah.
put
So
bodies there.
basically, Jesus was
Mhm.
he was like, y'all gonna get fucked. That's basically what he was saying. He wasn't really saying you're going
It
to
was a
hell.
figure of speech, like when we say, "Oh, my house looks like a dump," or "You better get your life together, or it's gonna go to shit." Like it was that kind of
Yeah.
figure of speech.
Yeah.
So
I like to think of it as like, there is a specific ritual in the way that you had to do your bodies in order to do, as far as Jewish law goes through. Oh, we know Jesus loves us. He's homie.
Oh,
But
he
I
loves
feel
us.
like
I he's my
I
dude.
feel like when he references Gehenna, it's like a metaphor in which case of like you will not be getting the cool rest that you're supposed to do because you're fucking like you're supposed to. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So guess what? It's going to be like being one of the bodies in Gehenna. That's because that would be denying them that spark of hope, that burial, that ritual that they get, so they can reincarnate and be, part of it. So
Yeah.
I
And
think it's a
there's
metaphor
the
because Jesus loved his
yeah
metaphors.
Mhm.
where there's weeping. Yeah, weeping and gnashing of teeth just means like sometimes okay, this is why I make the joke that like only English majors are going to heaven because like I read the Bible and I'm like it's very obvious what Jesus means here, but everyone's like, what does that mean? Even in the Bible, what does it mean? I'm like, y'all never heard of allegory in your life, but basically, weeping and gnashing of teeth just means like think about all these fucking evangelicals today who are so sure that they're on the right side of God. Basically, Jesus is like, there's going to be a lot of folks like that who, when they get to heaven, are going to realize that they did not do shit correctly at all. And they're going to be real pissed off when they find out that God ain't want to deal with them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oops.
Yeah. Also, someone asked if we cast out demons. No, we work with them. Bring them in the house sometimes. If
I
you're
mean,
cold,
like,
they're cold.
I
there's
mean,
a
it
method,
depends
there's a
on the kind
way.
of like demon. If it's like a not nice demon, then like you want to get rid of it, and then you
Well,
just say
so,
goodbye in the name of
you
Jesus.
gotta
But
know
then
who
it's
it
not.
is, though. Like, Asmodeus just wants to hang, but there's some
But I don't think
demons
it.
that you
You
shouldn't
I don't think
hang.
it's any of the
listen. If
kings.
there's a malicious thing in your space, you gonna feel it. You know what
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
saying? Like
Oh, yeah.
you're gonna feel
But
it.
I
That's
feel
my
like
that's
those
my thing.
malicious energies are not necessarily demons.
Yeah, like this is my thing. A lot of the demon kings are either old gods, fallen angels, or like I don't know, just like a really powerful spirit. The demons I'm thinking of, like when they say we have X legions of demons, like those are almost like fairies, but they're just like little asshole fairies. You know what I mean? Like they're a pain in the ass completely. And like yeah, you want to get rid of those like the way you want to get rid of I don't know a wasp nest in your house, but like they're not that big a deal. There are methods to get rid of them. It's basically just like if they're attached to you. And so many different cultures have this, but even in the Bible, there's an idea of like using some kind of item to like attach the curse to and drive it out. Like so, when Jesus puts all those demons into the pigs and runs them off, you put them somewhere else and you let them go be a menace elsewhere. You don't let them attach to you. But I don't know. People, I think, get too spooked about demons. The kings and princes and presidents do not give a shit to mess with your life. They have way more important things to do.
Yep.
The little ones, they might like to, I don't know, scutter around your bookshelves and stuff. If you find one, you just put it back outside like you would a little spood. If you find a spider, you put a cup on it, you put it outside. Do the same thing with the little demons. Just put them outside. It's fine.
For the most part, if you're looking at like the 72 goetic demons, you're probably gonna be fine. There's a couple of exceptions, like there are a handful of those that really don't like people too much. But like for the most part, like with like 90% accuracy, if you have one of the goetic ones in your space, you're probably gonna be fine.
Yeah, they usually just come to chill. I mean, I'm sorry, I still think the funniest thing I ever fucking did was summon King Belial with a potato. That was so
Oh,
fucking good.
it's
That was the
that
most
odd
amazing
guy
thing.
again.
He's
back again. He comes to every single one.
Sarah and Mimi are writing a book about
Does
it.
he like have like a notification for when we go live? Because that's fucking epic. Thank you for being our biggest fan. Oh my god.
They really do be. But I had to block someone earlier because like they had in their fucking bio. This is what got me every time. They had in their bio, pagans, atheists, Satanists don't interact. But where would they be? Up in my rectum every fucking video I posted. So I was like, hold up, wait. And then that was one screaming like a toddler in my comments, like, give me a verse right now in these comments. And I was like, did your mom teach you those fucking manners? Because they suck. So I was like, no, you can save up $29.99 of your allowance money and you can buy that book. Like, no, I ain't, no.
Sarah also has a course all about Christian witchcraft, a 10-week course that you can take and learn all about it.
I ain't mean to be that kind of person, but if you're coming in bad faith, you can absolutely compensate me for my time.
Yeah.
Where's the definition?
But
like, and there's somebody else who is like, then there's somebody else in here who's like, your witchcraft is a sin. Wake up! It breaks the first commandment. Honey, boo boo, child.
First commandment.
I'm wondering how you passed English because you don't know what the word before means.
No, you know what? Because some I gotta find the asshole who taught all these people the wrong definition of idolatry because they're like, witchcraft is idolatry, and I'm like, please give me a flow map as to how you got here.
Listen, do you want to know what idolatry is? You know all those guys who go to like every single fucking football game? That's fucking idolatry. The girlies who follow like people like Harry Styles and Taylor Swift on tour all summer long, that's idolatry. Like, but are they sinning? No. Nobody would ever say that.
Yeah.
That's odd. Which commandment have I broken? Because as far as I'm concerned, I haven't stolen, I haven't killed somebody, I haven't cheated, I haven't given false testimony, I haven't put.
You committed adultery, Sarah. God. I fucking knew it.
You committed adultery, Sarah. My God.
No. Does it count if it's a romance novel? No.
Jesus says it's a no-no. Do you think Jesus wrote the Ten Commandments?
Wait, hold on.
Block Leviticus and block Max. He's doing the not suffer wish to live. Block him.
Oh, man.
We don't do death threats in this house, baby.
We don't do death threats.
I really tried when I was born, but they resuscitated me, so I had to suffer and live.
Yeah, really.
You had to suffer. I tried.
You know what? I'm gonna start calling myself a Quaker witch at this point. Fucking, I don't think I can do the Christianity anymore. I'm a Quaker witch now.
Oh my God! Jesus is God. God gave Moses the commandments. Okay.
I really. Okay, here's the thing, right? Like, even if you somehow, like, if you believe Jesus, I believe Jesus is the Son of God. Sure, I'll say it. But like, that doesn't mean you get to fucking retcon the entire Bible, dude. Like, right? Jesus was still hanging out in the ether somewhere. We don't get like put him away. Like,
it's because of that verse in John. They skew that verse that like he was the word in the beginning. There was the Word, and God was the Word, and the Word was with God, and then Jesus became the Word and the God and whatever. You know what verse I'm talking about. Everybody takes that verse and flow map. It's like, Have they actually read Leviticus? No, probably not, because that
No.
book is an absolute fucking drag to read, and who would actually read it for pleasure? Not these
I
people.
It's so awful.
It's
I like stopped.
horrible.
Okay, I got through Genesis and Exodus, and then I was like looking at Leviticus, and I was like, I'm gonna read the New Testament now because I was like, I don't want to read like 18 billion pages of like you can't do this, and
So,
all of them which
all
doesn't
right.
apply to me. So I'm like, come on.
During my conversion, that was one of the things that I had to study were all the laws, 632 laws or 662
Oof.
laws, one of the things. And the thing that they explained to me was like when you're converting, there are laws for women, laws for men, laws for rabbi, laws for teachers, all these other things. You don't have to
Uh-oh.
follow all of those, only the ones that really apply to you. So if you are a woman, obviously you cannot follow the laws of the man. Makes sense. So, yes, I've read Leviticus. Yes, I've read Numbers.
Oh
Deuteronomy
my
is
god!
where I
Oh
died,
god!
though.
Guys, I didn't tell you this. Oh man, I forgot to tell you this. Oh, so okay, so I was on a podcast recently, and like, God bless them. They're very, they tried.
Bless
I'll
their
give them that.
hearts.
They are a podcast about, like, helping, people who don't believe in Christianity believe in Christianity. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna be on the witchy podcast, I gotta be on these kind too. And they approached me, so I was like, okay. When I tell you that, like, okay, they were like, do you want us to tag you in the videos? And I was like, I don't know, do you think I'm gonna, like, get flooded with hate? They're like, okay, we won't tag you. I'm like, alright. So I found the
Yeah, there
videos
you
that they
go.
posted. I found the videos that they posted, and like the fucking
They cut
sad
out so
music in
much.
the background as they asked me what I think about Lucifer, I had me fucking rolling. Like they just clipped
It's
pieces of the
hysterical.
conversation, had me cry, and then all of the comments were like everyone flipping out and like little ants. They were like, "Who is this? Who?" And I'm like, "Oh, thank God I didn't get tagged. Thank God I didn't get tagged. I would have fucking deleted myself, Jesus." But
Oh
yeah, that
my
was
god,
fun.
people suck.
So I just went through like 10 videos of our conversation, and then I was like, oh man. Alright, well, I guess I should
Did they
stop
like
going on.
splice the conversation up to make it look
Yeah,
like you said something when you
really.
didn't?
Yeah, it's
No,
really bad.
I feel like,
No,
I feel
yes,
like
they
this.
did.
Okay, well, I felt like they spliced it up fair enough. I could send you guys, like, the videos after, because, like, I sent one to Mimi, but, like, it was just the music, like, they were very much priming their audience to see this as, like, a fucking tragic and horrendous thing. And I was
They were
like,
mocking you.
you shits. Damn it. It was funny though, because in that conversation, they were like fucking going back and forth. They were like, Moses didn't write Deuteronomy. It says, but
Oh,
they're
I
like, well,
remember
it
this.
is written in third person. So I'm like listening to them talk, and I'm like, guys,
Yeah,
we have the scholarship in my Bible. It says it was written in the reign of King Josiah, 7th
yeah.
century BC, way after Moses died. Like, and
And
so
the
they were
reason
like, I
why it
don't
was
know.
done that is because it was all an oral tradition. Judaism was an oral tradition,
Well, no,
and
I mean, not even. They were just setting
paper
up a
was
counter
expensive.
charter. Like, there was Neo Assyria that wrote a charter
Hmm.
that was trying to invade them, so they wrote Deuteronomy as a counter charter. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. And so, but like, all of a sudden, like, as we're talking about all this, the guy goes, you sure know a lot of things. And I'm like,
You don't?
no, he's like, yeah, right. I'm like, hello? Like, at one point, he
Yeah.
starts going off about John the
So,
Baptist, and blah blah blah. And well, John in his gospel, and then John
Red
also said
flag.
in Revelation, and he's just going on like that. And I'm sitting there, and I let him talk, and then I went, "Oh, you think the people attributed to the Gospels actually wrote them? I see what the problem is now. Okay." And he was
oh,
like so pressed about it. He was so mad, and I'm like,
It even
"How?"
says they're not. The only ones that are said are the ones that say these were the letters that
Well,
came to this church from Paul. Like, and even then, I
he's
think
like,
it
and
was
some of
missing.
those.
Yeah,
he's like, my Bible says Luke wrote it. I'm like, your Bible is going off church tradition and not the actual scholarship and archaeological data that we have. Cry.
the Satan is a rough Greek translation for the adversary. It is not necessarily Lucifer, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's you learn
And
that in Job.
you do.
Yeah, I mean,
And in fact,
Satan,
it shows me that people do not actually read their Bible.
yeah,
They don't.
Satan's an interesting character. He's definitely not Lucifer though. But anyway, so sorry, I had to tell you all of you guys that story though, because that was like the funniest thing when I found those videos. I was just watching them and I was like, God damn it.
I swear, when they got to the Lucifer part, I swear they were just chopping up that fucking what you were telling them because I was like, this doesn't even sound cohesive. What? It
They were
sounds like
like
they cut
shell
off half your
shocked.
sentences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
shell shocked. That is, it was fine. I mean, again, I don't care. I didn't get tagged, so I didn't have to deal with
I
it. So
don't know
that's
if they
fine. That's
didn't like
fine
the
with me.
conversation that much. Then why did they even like release it? Like that's my.
I'm not really sure. Oh god, next week there's another one that I did forever ago with like two Theo bros who were also like, they felt like
Sarah,
slightly
why are you getting
antagonistic.
yourself into these situations? Girly
Because
pop.
she's
You know
a
why?
Sagittarius.
Yeah,
She's
exactly.
got
You
a.
know what? You answered my question. Thank you.
Well, because I'm saying, okay, if I'm sharing my point of view with the witchy people, I feel like the Christian people should know it too, because if they don't realize it now, one day it might plant a little seed in here, and they might think about it for more than 2 seconds, and they might
Don't
just
sow
be
your
courageous
seeds on
enough
barren
to.
soil, Sarah.
Thank
Well,
you,
shit, you're right.
Mimi. That was what I was gonna say.
And also,
Shit, okay.
That's what I would know.
yeah, really.
Grandma pays the
Yeah,
bills, that's why, Lena.
yeah, you know what?
Sarah,
I
I
live
need
for
to.
controversy. Okay? I live for it,
So,
but
um,
also I like
Yo, somebody,
arguing. There's nothing wrong with
Bella,
arguing.
said, have y'all ever discussed Mariology, which I know is like Mary, like something to do with her, but the first thing I
which
thought of
Mary?
was Mario and Luigi.
Yeah.
Oh, is
I'm
it like
sorry. Have I ever studied
Mother
Mariology? Hell yeah,
Mary?
I'm good at Mario Party. Like, yeah.
Oh
No,
my gosh.
like
But
Mother
Sarah,
Mary
you
or
gotta.
Mary Magdalene?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Are we
multiple.
talking about the Great Holy Mother, or are we talking about the Red String?
I immediately think of Mary, Mother of God, when we
Yeah,
speak of
Yeah.
that's
Mariology, but
not.
I don't know.
But
Hannah, wait, what were you saying?
Oh,
I
okay.
was just saying, like, please be careful on some of these Christian podcasts you go on, or else, like, Fox News is. And
Yeah.
then it's all over.
Listen,
Don't
Tucker
threaten me with a
Carlson's
good
gone, so
time.
I'm
Listen,
okay. Yeah,
Don't threaten me.
don't.
Sarah, go to timeout. Go to the Quaker corner.
If my bullshit ever finds its way to Fox News, that means I won. That means I fucking won. Like,
What if we
as
end
far as
up
I'm,
like Ben Shapiro one day or something? That would be even worse.
I will
Like,
be in
I
my.
can't
I will
believe
be.
it hasn't happened yet. Like, I don't want it to happen. I
That's
don't
like my
want that
goal
to
though, is to
happen.
get it there. Like I want to get people, like, you know how the fucking evangelicals, they flip out about like literally everything. They flipped out about like uh what the hell is her name? What the hell is the name of the lady that was on the Bud Light?
Dylan Mulvaney.
Dylan
Dylan.
Mulvaney.
Yeah,
I
they flipped the
love
fuck out
her.
about Dylan. Yeah, and so like all because she like held one up for like 30 seconds, not even.
Calm
So I feel like
down.
if we can make big enough noise, we can maybe freak out all the evangelicals in America, and I will die happy finally when we get there.
Yeah, but I don't want
So
people
this
finding
is
my house. And
this is what I need
Yeah.
people to understand about Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro tries to debate with big words, knowing the people he's talking to don't understand the context. Okay? He's literally just talking at them and interrupting before they can finish their point. He is going by the age old adage of give them just enough rope to hang themselves with. National policy debater for 4 years. I understand this point. Ben Shapiro is a man who definitely is trying to get his comeuppance in the world. Sure, drama pays the bills, baby. That's fine. But when you're looking at his debates, yeah, when you're looking at his debates,
That's what
they are
it's
very
called.
much to try to really push it home of him being right when he's really just using a context that is not applicable to the debate. My favorite one is on transgender. It's like, oh, but there's only two genders. And it's because he's debating biology, not psychology or sexology. There are completely different parts. And because of that, he thinks he's winning. And it's not working.
It's very
It's
much
just
like
not.
playing checkers with kids on level argument. That's why it's like, okay, but no, but this is my problem. It's like on the podcast, I just let him talk. Like I didn't even try to get in a word in edgewise. I just waited until they were done with like with their point, and then I was like, cool. Anyway, none of that matters because like John didn't write that. Anyway, moving on. And so then he was just like fucking shook. He was so shook.
Yeah.
But
That's still been my favorite thing is just
anyway.
like
I think
they don't know how to
the
come
last
back
clip
from
I
that.
The latest clip I saw of Ben Shapiro was him threatening like to like delete people if they came to his door saying that he had to accept that like LGBTQ people exist. So I don't think I'm gonna put my ring in the hat and say he's a good person. I think he kind of fucking sucks. But I will still debate him just for the meme.
I see a baby boo.
Christ. I don't want anything to do with any of them. I don't want
Same.
that to happen. I don't want them to find us. I don't want them to know about it.
Listen.
I'm just saying I'm surprised
It's our
it hasn't
mascot.
happened.
Yeah, no, that's I'm surprised it hasn't happened, not waiting for it. Like,
Yeah, right.
we'll keep it away. For the person who asked about books for the afterlife, if you're curious about reincarnation specifically, I recommend Journey of Souls by Dr. Michael Newton and The New Earth by Dolores Cannon. These two.
It's
But
almost
that's
10
about it.
o'clock, so let's do like our
Yeah,
last go around.
Yeah.
gotta go
Yeah.
around. I guess I'll start. So, shameless plugging again. This is the last one we get before we get invaded by the government. So basically, not only am I a Christian witch, but I'm also a fantasy writer. So if you guys like enemies to lovers, high fantasy, and you like support indie authors who design their own books, the cover I didn't, but the inside I did, then go check it out. Links in my bio. I have copies that I can send signed to you. I can sign them and ship them directly to you from me. I love when people do that. And also, Mimi and I are working on a book about Christian witchcraft too. So we got that in the works. I have like literally a 10-week lectures and all course on how to be a Christian witch. I have a questions page you can ask me questions on. I got a
You got a
Patreon.
YouTube.
I got literally every YouTube even like I got every possible mode of supporting me. It's there. Please support me. Thank you. Okay.
Which our lives come up on the YouTube. So for those who are late and wanted to know more, our lives are on the YouTube, on Sarah's YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Mimi, you want to go next because you're in the clock?
Absolutely. Okay, so hi, I'm Mimi, the Feral Southern Housewife. If you Google Feral Southern Housewife, you will find me on just about everything that there is. I am writing a book with Sarah about Christian witchcraft. I am also working on finishing up the school years for the homeschooling as a Christian witch. So that means like integrating it and how to add and look at things from a different perspective and books and all that fun stuff. Um, and yeah, I will be getting more active here on TikTok and YouTube and podcast, depending on which one actually uploads first. I've been recording for like the last week, so we'll see what actually happens. Exciting stuff. And yeah, otherwise just keep watching here.
Cool.
Your turn, Lina.
So, my name's Lina. I have a podcast called the Jesus Witch Podcast. It's available on all podcasting platforms and Patreon. On my Patreon, I also have information on Bible-based spell work, grimoire pages, tarot spreads, even like transcribed episodes of the Jesus Witch Podcast that my friend Charlie does for us. I have a YouTube channel, Instagram, all those things. I also have an Etsy shop where I sell like Bible-based spell oils and like tarot readings, astrology readings, all those things. You can find them all in the link in my bio. And I also have a free Discord community called the Jesus Witch Church. That's where we like all hang out. There's like fellowship in there. You can ask any questions about any kind of witchery in there. We talk about all different types of things like fandom stuff, food, magic, all the things. So you can click the link in my
And
bio.
I think we're all in that Discord now.
Yes, everybody's there. So come and join us. Hannah.
I'm Hannah. I'm a Christo pagan. I just moved and my brain is fried and I had to take my cat to the vet earlier today, so I'm just all over the place. But I also have a shop where I make custom candles and other witchy goods. I have t-shirts that say Christian witch that are really pretty, and I have some Norse pagan humor on some t-shirts as well, and coffee mugs and stickers and lots of other cool things. Those are in the link in my bio. You should check them out. Also in the link in my bio is all my other social media pages. My podcast, which is every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST on Stereo. And if you join my Patreon, you will get access to an exclusive patrons-only Discord server, which is a lot of fun as well. And like I said, all of those are in the link in my bio.
All right. With that, thank you guys all for hanging out. It was another great night. This will be uploaded to my YouTube tomorrow. If you got here late and you didn't see it all, no worries. You can play it back tomorrow. It's all going to be there. And with that, yeah, I wish you all a good night. Have a good rest of your Tuesday. And we are getting out of here. See you
It's
guys.
linked in Lena's profile. Yeah.
Yes, Discord's in Lena's profile.
My
But
bio.
otherwise, see you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.